So your reaction to Ted Hughes' letter that he sent to the Premier?
Well, we've now had a decision from the courts. We've also had a statement from Mr. Hughes, a letter to the Premier. He certainly seems to recognize the kind of balance that needs to be struck here, and I think he also hints at some capacity he may have to assist in achieving that. So we're certainly interested in considering what he's written and considering the offer that he's made.
Are you going to be withdrawing the legislation, as Hughes has recommended?
I can't say that yet, but certainly we are looking to his statement, his letter, and we are considering what he has provided there.
When do you think you'll have a decision on that, one way or the other?
Well, again, we've had a Supreme Court decision. We've now had a rather thoughtful decision from We've had a thoughtful statement from Mr. Hughes, and we want to take the time to consider that.
So he suggests that this is a dysfunctional relationship.
One question,
He says this is a dysfunctional relationship, essentially, that is harming the overall goal of trying to repair the child welfare system.
Well, I think what he does recognize in his letter is that this is a balancing issue. This is something where we need to be balancing the ability of independent officers to have access to cabinet documents, along with a statutory obligation of government to protect cabinet confidentiality. Again, I'm really interested in considering the offer that he's made.
What does it suggest about the relationship between your ministry and the independent watchdog if you need to bring in a mediator?
Well, again, Mr. Hughes recognizes that there's a balance that needs to be struck there.
I'm asking what you think about it, though.
Well, as I've said before, our two offices work together very, very well. This has been a dispute that has been one that is complicated. It's not something that is straightforward. There is balancing that needs to happen. Mr. Hughes recognizes that, as do we, and I'm interested in considering what he's had to say in his letter.
So you just said your ministry and representative work very well together.
Our two offices have worked together very well.
And in the past you've said there wasn't a dysfunctional relationship between the representative and your deputy minister. But Hughes is essentially saying that there is. So I'm just wondering whether or not you're going to revise your opinion at this point, given the fact that...
Well, again, Mr. Hughes, in a very thoughtful letter, recognizes that there is a balance to be struck here and hints at the fact that he may be able to provide some assistance in reaching the kind of agreement that we need to reach to be able to proceed. So I'm interested in considering that, and that's something we want to take some time to do.
Minister, are you going to table the amendments as Mr. Hughes is asking?
Well, again, I can't say that today. We've just received a court decision. We've just received a rather considered statement from Mr. Hughes, and that's something that we want to take the time to look at.
Sorry if I missed this, but the court decision, you got blown away in the court decision. What's your reaction to being embarrassed like that in court? She just slam dunked the government on that, rejected all the arguments.
Well, essentially, from the very beginning, we outlined the fact that we acknowledge that the representative and other independent officers certainly, from time to time, need to have access to cabinet documents. This wasn't about access. For us, this was about how we balance that against the ability for government to abide by the confidentiality of those cabinet documents. So again, it wasn't about access.
Completely. It says it is about access. That's what it was about.
Well, but this decision was reached on the basis of existing legislation, which is why we had put forward the amendment recognizing that under the existing legislation there was that ambiguity. So it's not something that was unanticipated, and it certainly doesn't change our position that the representative should have access to cabinet documents, but that it should be in some ways balanced with the need to maintain cabinet confidentiality.
Judge wrong that...
Well, again, we're pleased to receive the comments from Mr. Hughes as the author of the Hughes report, as the person who arguably initiated much of the transition that we're involved in with the ministry. He certainly has something to offer to this discussion. I'm pleased that he recognizes that there are some issues that need to be balanced there, and we are interested in considering his offer.
Last question.
Is the judge wrong?
Time and resources for the representative to take up this court battle?
Well, again,
Given that she's won.
all the way along, the representative could have had access to those documents. The only difference would have been who had the discretion to release them to the public. But she was never denied access to those documents.
You're essentially
Thank you, everybody.
you're absolutely refuting what the judge has said.
Thank you.